Yes, welcome back to the show, people. We are on Lee Judges TV. I'm your host, as ever, Dan Potts. I'm with Lee Judges. It's time to talk Arsenal. We finished our Emirates Cup result last night, and of course, we ended up, I don't know if you called it winning on penalties, but I suppose that's what we did. A bit of a random format. Normally, we play it over a weekend with a couple of games, and this season, there ain't been time for that, so it's been all about the midweek game. Before we get into that, Lee, how are you, mate?
I'm all good, thank you very much. Had a good day today. Went down filming down the Emirates, and all of a sudden there was a little bit of a crowd gathering, and there was Arsene Wenger. You know what I mean? So didn't say that. I'm going to be honest. We talked about this the other day, didn't we? I still feel, even though he was there, there was eye contact between the pair of us. I ain't going to lie, and I couldn't ask for an autograph or shake his hand or anything like that. I just still feel a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit disappointed with myself. I think I said this on the Forever Arsenal. I think I said this, I feel bad, Dan, that I wanted him out. You know what I mean? I know I shouldn't, because it's only football and all that, but I do appreciate what he done and everything. I'm glad I was one of these fans that never abused him or anything like that. But I did want him out, and I did go on the process. I'm not going to lie. I went on that, bloody. I feel bad that I did now. But
why do you think that is?
Because
if you turn back time, would you do things differently? Is my question.
Yeah, probably would. Probably would have done things differently. Still would have probably wanted the same outcome, if I'll be honest. But I'll tell you how it was, Dan. This is no word of a lie. If we was when my dad was alive and we'd be around my house, right? If Arsene Wenger come on, then we would have. There could be like five. Don't matter how many people were in the house. Who was in the house? If he come on, we used to stand up for attention, listen to what he was saying, and tell everybody to be quiet in the house. Don't matter who it was, because it was Arsene Wenger on TV. In the end, I was turning him off. You know what I mean? That's how much it changed. You know what I mean? No, seriously, this is a serious thing. He'd come on, and because I was so frustrated with what was going on, and I felt bad that I did want him out, but I don't think that would have changed. At the end of it, I don't know. I just feel very, very. People were singing his name as he was walking off, and that. And I just felt, I just don't feel comfortable about it. I don't know if time will still be a healer or something But but it was. He looked well, and I've got to say he's classy. Everybody who was there, he had photos with and signing shirts and things like that. He's a classy guy. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, 100% he is. And I think he deserves a lot of respect for what he did with the club. But there's no doubt about it. The last 10 years, he will look back himself and be disappointed. I wanted to ask you, though, and I think we got this question last time. We didn't really go into it massively. I do want to obviously keep this for topical and related, but seeing as you brought it up, and it is quite topical at the moment with his statue, £640 million being spent in 4 years. What could Arsene Wenger have done with that at Arsenal, in your opinion?
Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't know, because I don't know if he had the money available or not then. And some of the money he did waste, I suppose, in the end. And I just think that, do you know what? I just think with Arsene Wenger, it just ran out for it. It just, he was good for so many years. I think he would have probably wasted the money, if I'll be honest. I don't really know. It's a good question. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. He was unbelievable at one stage. Some of the teams, 24 years today, apparently, then that we signed Thierry Henry. You know what I mean? Look at the players that come through that. So there was a little thing on Twitter yesterday just showing some games, Arsenal comebacks when we were 1-0 down. It was 1-0. It was against Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool. There was another team as well. Can't remember who it was. Leicester. And then the last game that it was one of your favourite games, Middlesbrough, and how they come back in those games and blasted away teams there, you know what I mean, was incredible. What a team that was, you know what I mean. It was unbelievable, some of the players there. And he built that team, and it was just incredible. So, listen,
Yeah, he
he's built
did.
the best teams that Arsenal have ever had, some of the best players we've ever had. So, and I've got to say, the statue is fantastic.
Best one, isn't it? Best one for me. Best
Oh,
statue, I
my
think.
God. I
I've not seen
stand,
it yet. I've only obviously seen pictures open
yeah,
up
no, I
yet, but
stood
I'm going up there
next to
tomorrow,
him.
funny enough. But yeah, I looked at it when it got unveiled, and I thought, and I like all the statues. Don't get me wrong, but that's better than Bergkamp, Adams, Henry, and Chapman for me. That one is
Yeah,
the best one for me.
he
That, yeah,
stood next to it, and you could see the resemblance, everything like
yeah,
that. I mean,
exactly.
quality.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but very good to see him like looking so well, and yeah, but like just there's that tinge of I don't know, like I don't know how everybody feels about it really. Like speaking to a few of my mates today, they feel a little bit the same. There's a couple of guys, and I'm mentioning no names, won't go and see the statue because of what went on towards the end. Others are, you know. Saying that they will. I don't like it when it's been on Twitter and all that, like people saying, certain people have been having their photo done with it, oh, hypocrites and all that, because like if that's the case, then no one would be going near that statue because I don't care what anybody says. I remember coming out of the cup final against Birmingham, and I was still very much Wenger in there, and people having a go, and there was arguments going on that day, like and I was very much sticking up for him. In the end, Dan, it was probably 80% of the Arsenal fans that wanted him out. You know what I mean? I have to say, it really did turn.
I remember that day, and I was at Wembley as well, and I remember leaving thinking, yeah, maybe he's coming to an end. That was the first time I ever said it. Maybe he's coming to an end. Then when we lost 8-2 in 2012, I was like, I'm done. He's got to go. I was done with that. That 8-2, I was like, I don't
Yeah,
think we can deal with this. And then it was because I had a lad who sits by me, Mark, big up Mark. He was Wenger out for years, mate. Years. Like pretty much the whole of the Emirates era. He was like, I think he's come to an end. I don't think we're going to be able to rebuild this again now. He's made too many errors. And I was saying, sort of 2006 to 2010, I was sticking up for him. So was my dad. I was saying, look, we're here because of this man. Look at what he's done. Look at the past. Look at the last 10 years. And then 2012, I was thinking, he's put an absolutely abysmal side out there. Is this actually the board and ownership, or is it actually him? And then every single year, and then it started getting worse and worse. Suarez, £40 million and £1, signing Kim Kallstrom with a broken back, and signing Petr Cech as our only signing, and not winning the league against Leicester because of it. All this stuff, I'm thinking, yeah, I think you're done. I think you're done, man. And then it became a real frustration, and he become frustrating with all the fans because he was too stubborn. I really thought, Lee, at 2014, lifted it up against Hull, and I went, please go now, end on a high. And I wonder if he would have, if he looks back now, maybe I should have gone when my contract ran out there. And then he signed again, and he won it again against Villa, and then he won it again in 2017 against Chelsea. Should have gone then, give him another contract in 2017. And it was like, this guy's never going to go, is he? We're not going to win a title, but he's never going to go. These FA Cups have papered over the cracks and kept him in the job longer than he should have been. And since he has gone, I must say, it's taken us 7 years to get back into the Champions League where he left us.
yeah,
So we've gone through hell because of it, So it's been a long, long time, man. It really has.
yeah. And I think probably the emotion of it all has gone a little bit out of it now with Arsenal. You know what I mean? I look back when you say about that, like 6-0 against Chelsea. Do you remember that one? Like, you know what I mean? Some real stuffings along the way. And I think, you are emotionally attached to it all, aren't you? Like, and that's why and the emotion's sort of gone. It doesn't look as bad as what it probably was at the time, and us fans have gone through some really dark times, even when he's left, you know what I mean? And, that's why I think when we start doing well now, hopefully we'll appreciate it a little bit more. But yeah, I'm with you on that there. I actually felt that when we beat Chelsea that day, we just missed out on the Champions League, haven't we? Like, I think that was the day you should have said, like, that's me done. I know it's very hard. It's very hard, isn't it? Like, to say, right, you can't do the job no more. Like, you know what I mean? But that's how it is in football, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? I love him to have. I probably would have looked at it as well and said, I probably should have left against Chelsea as well, because obviously the next year didn't go as well as what it was, So I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Like,
it is a hard one, mate. And I will say one thing to end on it. it's upset him. He's never managed again. It's taken him 4 years to come back to the Emirates.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it hurt him. I think the fans, the club, I think everyone involved hurt him, and I think he looks back and goes, Arsenal were going nowhere until I come, and we weren't. Let's be real. George Graham had left. We had Bruce Rioch. It was going poor. I think we finished 12th that year. It was horrendous. We were literally going nowhere, and he come in and he literally turned us around. He did a double in the first season, and the rest is history, right? But I do think that, in a way, as much as I do blame, I do underappreciate what you're saying in terms of the fans and the club. He didn't help himself. He could have walked many, many times before that. And it was like, you're making us have to push you, Arsene, because you ain't going. So, it's like you've got to have a look at it and himself really there. But listen, statue well deserved. A lot of people are saying, no, it's not deserved. Let's be real. It's a statue, right? It's not the end of the bloody world, is it?
No, I think it does.
Get on with it. Move on with it. Do you know what I mean? It's up now, and we move forward with it. Let's talk about the now and the here and now. The Emirates Cup last night. You went to the game. I didn't go to the game. What was it like, mate? What did you think?
In a nutshell, poor, Dan. I thought it was a poor game. I thought, like, Monaco were the better side. I thought that we never really looked like scoring that much. I know we did score at half time, but after that, I don't think, if I'll be honest, they looked like more likely to score than us. Free-flowing football wasn't there as it has been against Barcelona. I do think that's because Jesus isn't there. Again, we're going to get on to Eddie. It's a raw deal for him again. I felt people forget he did score yesterday, but the team doesn't look the same with him in there. He worked really hard, but that free-flowing football seems to stop when he's there. And the goals dry up, you know what I mean? Look at the game against Man United. He was up front that day in the pre-season. I know it's only pre-season. That's all you can go on at this moment, so we're not going to go too mad. But again, I would still be sitting in the New Jersey Stadium. They wouldn't have scored that night. They didn't look like scoring. I thought there was some good interplay between Rice and Martinelli in the first half. I like that. Was encouraging if that's going to be the setup. But other than that, I'm then scratching my head for pluses from it, Dan. Really, Ramsdale saving a penalty, you'd have to say that. But other than that, I didn't really see too much. I know Vieira again. I think needed a game of. He done okay, but he needs more than being okay in these games. He needs to really start shining somewhere along the line, I thought the one. Do you know what? I look at last season, Dan, and I keep going on about it. Jesus, when he first come in there, excited me. Shinchenko excited me. Saliba coming in excited me, and I was looking at it and thinking, wow, look at all these, good players that we're bringing in, and they were excited. None of them are really doing that. If I be really honest, Timber's doing it for me this season. He's making me. Other than that, I know Rice hasn't played a lot of games and all that, but Tom was saying yesterday, he's done okay, and going, yeah, but okay ain't good enough.
He's only had 2 games, isn't he? Really?
Yeah,
and I think I will say this, Lee. Maybe this will make it easier for you to understand why I think you're feeling like that. Last season, we had an 11. This season, we've got a squad, and he's now got to try and rotate it. And I look at it and think, Saliba, Zinchenko and Jesus looked quality because we had 11 players, and it was very, very obvious to see who our 11 players were. This season, I've got to say, I think I know the 11, but I'm still doubtful in a couple of positions as to what he's going to do with them. Yeah. And this season, so far in pre-season, we haven't seen our best 11 yet. We still haven't seen it.
That's the problem for me, Dan. Like last season, I watched the game against Chelsea and I thought, wow, that was great, 4-0. Then I come back to Seville. It was exactly the same team against Sevilla, 6-0. And then going into the first game of the season, it was the same team again, won again. We haven't seen that team. I would imagine that the team that he plays in the Community Shield will be the team that he starts for the next game as well. But because it's squad rotation, because there's a lot more of a squad, and I mean this sincerely, I was talking about this today. Like last season, it was Saliba and Gabriel, the two centre halves, all the way through.
Yep.
But this time around, you've got Nketiah that's in and around it, and he's done really, really well. So you've got to give him games because he's going to be part, not just filling in if them two are injured. He's actually going to play games when to give players a rest. You know what I mean? When Gabriel gets a rest, Ben White last season played every game at right back. You know, I've seen him play at centre half. His team not been on the bench on a couple. Timber being moved around. Tierney's done well when he's come in as well. Don't forget last season, as good as pre-season was, Tierney wasn't involved in pre-season last season. So, you know, as good as all the defenders have been, I don't know what the three is going to be, and the conceding the goals is a problem. 3 against Barcelona, 2 against United, another one yesterday. They missed an open goal from a yard yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as he missed that, and otherwise we would have lost. So all these players are all good individually, but something not right when we kept getting opened up in that game again yesterday. Like,
Well, let's stop there for a minute because I agree with you there, and I think that's a good place to start because we obviously conceded first. We can't defend as a unit at times. I don't mind us individually. I think we've just pointed out there's apart from Zinchenko, who makes the 8th defender, all 7 of them have played, whether it be Tomiyasu, right back, left back, Ben White, Timber, and obviously you've mentioned Nketiah, Gabriel, and Saliba. I thought yesterday, if it wasn't for a striker getting his head on it, where we missed it, we would have been 2-0 down. It was just poor defending as a unit. Saliba, didn't look himself. Nketiah, I thought yesterday, poor for the goal, conceded. There was a chance that hit the post as well that he just got in behind. And I quite like, I love Saliba, and I quite like what I've seen from Nketiah parts. I don't think he's individually. I think as a unit, there's some problems, and I don't know how we're going to improve on that when it keeps happening with every single one of our defenders. So is it like something we're doing as a defensive unit, do you think? Is it tactics? Because it seems to be like, it doesn't matter what individuals you have. You've mentioned the ball. They've all played a part, but we're still conceding goals.
And also you've got like a midfield 2 of Partey and Rice who are very, very defensively strong. You know what I mean? Like realistically, you can play the number 6 role. So where is it? Why are we still getting exposed? Last season it was Xhaka. People used to say to me, "Oh, Xhaka's a little bit too high up." And I didn't see Declan Rice too high up yesterday. Like, you know, listen. It's not. We're not moaning or nothing here. It's just little things that need addressing. And I do think that sometimes a little bit of cohesion is in there. I'm going to be really honest with you now, Dan. I do think like the tiredness is taking a toll because I've been terrible the last few days. I haven't been able to get over it. Speaking to all the guys coming back from America saying the same. So if we're all jet lagged and all that, like, you know, surely these players are feeling it as well. Like, so maybe something to do with it, like, you know. But it's been a common theme of conceding goals. And, you know, if we concede a goal early against Nottingham Forest, I'm going to say it now. It wouldn't surprise me, Dan. It wouldn't surprise me at half time we're 1-0 down against Nottingham Forest. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm hoping that we're not be. I went into that game against Crystal Palace last season, Dan. And you was there. And I keep hyping on about this, but I can't say more than it. You know, I don't know if you remember, you was a little bit nervous going, oh, of course. I said, well, this is done. We will win. You wait till you see us. We'll win this game. I'm going to go into the game against Nottingham Forest in a week's time nowhere near as confident as that. Nowhere near as confident as that. And especially now with Jesus going down as well. And don't forget, he was flying last season. You know, it wasn't just Saliba that came in here. You know, I mean, I'm going to be really honest. When Jesus signed for the club, I wasn't over keen about it. You know what I mean? I thought he's a good player. Like, you know, I weren't. But I come back from Germany blown away, like, you know.
Sold.
Sold, deal done, like, you know what I mean? Now, I get what Tom and that was saying in the conversation earlier on and all that, like, but they done it to me after 2 or 3 games, you know what I mean? Jesus, I was done after a game. I'm still got question marks about Havertz. I've got you know, Declan Rice, I've not got question marks about his ability and all that, but I don't think he's been fit enough. But he hasn't sort of gone right. I've watched that game and gone, right, yes, that's it. He's unbelievable. Like, When I watched Saliba last season for the first time in America, I was gobsmacked how good he was.
Yeah.
Same with Jesus, same with Shinchenko. With these guys now, at this moment, I'm not. And I know that it's maybe because they're being rotated around and not getting as many minutes as whatever, like, you know. But honestly, Dan, I'm telling you this now, there's got to be a massive improvement for the game against Nottingham Forest. And we might get that. But I'm telling you now, it's got to be like these next couple of weeks are vital for Arsenal. I think they've got to really, really put it in. We cannot afford to have a bad start, like by slipping up against Forest, drawing against Crystal Palace, and all of a sudden be 6 or 7 points down with those first 5 games, because then you've got some really tough games. And listen, we went into that season last season. Jesus was flying, absolutely flying. And look how good he was against Barcelona, Dan. Look how good he was.
Outstanding, wasn't he?
I'm worried about him now, like, you know what I mean? It's same knee injury, had to have surgery on it again. You know, this is worrying times for me, like, you know what I mean? Why is it he's had this operation and he's had to have another operation on it? It's not good signs, mate. It's not good signs.
Removing fragments from the previous surgery is what I heard. What the hell is all that about? So
Well,
he's been running on this leg for 3 months then, without knowing that he's got fragments in his leg. What is all that about?
Like, what it is like, I've had one of these before, and I'll be really honest with you. I've had like 2 operations on my knee, right? One, now I can't remember if it was my left one or my right one, but what I remember, I was getting a lot of pain in it, and I thought there's something wrong there, like, you know what I mean? When they had the scan and they said, oh yeah, we're just going to do a clear out operation, like, you know, I was back playing within 2 weeks. Right, and that was a long time ago. Like, without all the medical stuff and all that, they just clear out all, like, there might be just a little bit of fragments of crap in there, and they just wash it out. That's all they do. They wash it out. And I was back playing within 2 weeks, and I thought, wow, like, do you know what I mean? And I never had no more pain from it since. On the other leg, when I had if it's a cartilage, he's had like a bit of cartilage taken away. That's not a 2-week job then. That's 5, you know what I mean? Like, you have to go through all the rehab and all that, like, to get that strong again, like, you know.
Yeah.
So
we don't know what it is, but they're saying 2
is.
to 6 weeks is what I heard. But some people are saying it's longer, but I don't know. We
I
don't know
would
this yet.
be shocked if it's 2 weeks. Shocked.
Yeah, I will. I'll be shocked if he lines up. If he lines up against, what is it, 3rd game in, I'll be very, very shocked.
I've got him. I've got him earmarked for Champions League game, which is
mid-September.
Mid-September.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. And my question to you now is, because that didn't happen yesterday on the field, it happened before he could even line up. What the hell do Arsenal do now? Because as far as I'm concerned, mate, we need a centre forward. And
right. This is a great question. Terrific question, because you've got
go on.
No, you've got Balogun, right? Yeah, that didn't really feature in, and basically looking to sell him. Now, as you just said 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, that he's been complaining about this injury for a little while now. Like, so even though he played against Barcelona, there's still like something in the mind that there was something wrong, because he's been complaining about it. So it's never going to go away, Dan. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and they've not given Balogun the time or whatever. Like, you know, for me, if there was pain in it, why didn't they say, right, you ain't going to America? We get that cleaned out and get it all sorted, and we give Balogun and Eddie the run that they should have had. But they've not had that now, like, you know. So I'm not so sure if this was, this has been going on for. I think it's something happened in that Barcelona game, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
And changed it. For me now, priorities all changed. Not, you know, I thought they said, we need to find a backup for Jesus. Now, I'm saying now we need to find somebody to the main striker now. And
take over from Jesus.
Yeah, because Jesus is not reliable. I'm being really honest. You know, second operation on the knee, you know, it might take a little bit more time. Rushing back again, it might go again and everything like that. Bring in the main striker now. Like, now, the question you're going to say to me, who? I have no clue. I don't know who that. It's not my job, but Arsenal should be looking for a centre forward. Is it going to cost money? Yes, it's going to cost money. But if you're prepared to spend 40 million on a backup goalkeeper or spend 40 million and replace a very, very adequate goalkeeper in the first place, you've got money, Dan, at the football club.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I know the title of this is about ditching Raya. I wouldn't. I'd get him as well as Raya. This is none of this that start ditching. But I think that we should have a plan to go and get a centre forward anyway. Like we should have got one with Jesus, in my opinion, not without him. Now we definitely ain't got Jesus for the start. You got to then get it, and then people will say, "Yeah, but then you got two strikers. Who'd you play?" Good. That's what I want in every position. It don't bother me about who's going to play what. People will play whoever's better than who. It's a competition. It's a sport. That's what happens.
I'm with you on this now.
So that's what I see. Trossard's going to start, in my opinion. I don't think it will be Eddie, and we can touch on him in a minute because I want to just touch on a couple more players from yesterday after we discuss this striker situation. But we are running out of number nines. Man United are. Man United need another number nine. They just bought that Højlund. They need another one. Otherwise, they've got Martial if he gets injured. So it ain't just us who's going for this centre forward. Chelsea, they've got Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson, but they look like they're trying to go for Vlahovic, somebody that I would have asked, to a lot of people wouldn't. Ramos was my other guy. He's today gone to PSG.
Yeah, I
so
see that.
He's now out. He's now the one that we've missed out on. So apart from Harry Kane and Osimhen, who are both unrealistic, who the hell else is out there? A lot of talk the other day about João Felix. Obviously, he didn't cut the mustard at Chelsea. Very similar to Jesus, in my opinion, anyway, in terms of his all-round play. But he's an option. Other than that, Lee, it's an Ivan Toney job in January. And I think if that's the case, we go for him in January, we're going to have to keep hold of Balogun, mate. We're going to have to, because you can't get rid of a striker when you've got a striker crisis. Well,
all we're going to go in for the next few games is if you're right in what you're saying, is Trossard and Eddie. That ain't good enough.
No.
Vlahovic has been mentioned again. I think you got to go big. Listen, I don't think Manchester United will be sending £72 million on a player when they could have got when Harry Kane's available. Right? Harry Kane's available to Bayern Munich, Barcelona, PSG, Rangers, Celtic, whoever. He's available to every single football club apart from in the English league this season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think if Arsenal went in for 100 million, we ain't getting him. You know what I mean? Because we've just been told we're out there. I think, every club that's, whether it be Chelsea, I'm pretty sure that they've inquired. No go. So he's not. So Harry Kane's out of the equation. Next season, he may not be, but next season's next season. We need it here and there. So where, as you said, Ramos, I know you've been going on about him for a while from Benfica. Looks like a top player. Gone to PSG for mega money, 80 million was it, or something like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's 70 million. I think it's 65 million pounds and 73 million euros, something like that. But yeah, a lot of money. Kolo Muani is another one.
Could we get him on loan?
Well, yeah, from Mbappe, can you imagine? That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But I can't see that one happening.
That is the sort of player we need, though.
Oh, listen, of course, with every player, every club needs Mbappe, but we've got to be serious about it. I don't think that's realistic.
No.
Unfortunately, I think he's Madrid bound. Kolo Muani is another one I like at Frankfurt. I think he's, French international, did well in the World Cup. I think he scored something like 18 goals in 35 games or something like that, Frankfurt. So he gets quite a lot of good goal ratio. But listen, if we're going and this is what really winds me up, Lee. All right, this is what winds me up. I don't understand this from the fan base. We don't need another striker with Jesus out because we've got Havertz. We don't need him because we've also got Martinelli who can play up top. How many times in 5 years has Martinelli played up top under Arteta?
None.
We've also got Eddie Nketiah still. Or we saw what he was like yesterday. Oh, he scored. Yeah, he did score, but he was poor for me. That's not what you want for going for a title. We got Trossard, and I like Trossard a lot. I think he is fantastic. But I don't want him being the only one. And also, when one of the other guys is out, he's the one we want coming in on the wing. So really tough for me to sit there and say, Kevin was on Twitter with me earlier, me and Kevin Campbell, having a discussion about it. He doesn't think we do need another striker. He thinks we're good. He says, I think we're all right. I think that Trossard and Eddie will do a job until Jesus comes back and we'll be all right. But I disagreed with him and said, no, I think we need a centre forward. And I really do now. I thought we needed a striker anyway. I didn't think he was get one. I'd never had the confidence, and I still don't think that we will get one. I think Arteta loves Eddie. If he puts the armband on him, that shows you what he thinks about that kid, right?
Right.
So for me, he's staying 100% now. and Balogun is the one that looks like he's going to go. So do we get rid of Balogun now, Lee? If
No,
Jesus is out, he's got to stay, isn't he? I
no,
don't.
I think he's got to say that. You know, Luke. I just seen Luke just say what he said there. In the thing, this is the thing, right? He says it's a few weeks, right? They said that about Saliba, right? They said that about Saliba. He'd be out for a few weeks.
You never saw him again.
Never see him again. So when Mikel Arteta says, "Oh, it's a few weeks," I don't believe a thing of that. Now, you listen. I'm not one to argue with Kevin. Like, you know what I mean? Kevin always puts up a good point, but Kevin's going, "All right, yeah, he'll be all right till Jesus comes back." Right? But what's saying that Jesus comes back and then breaks down again, Dan? There's no, he's come back and he's broke down again. He's had to have another operation on the same knee. It's not so we're waiting for him to come back. He's done it. He's been out, he's played another 6 months, not the greatest 6 months of his career, because you know he's trying to get back to fitness and whatever, blah, 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 and he's broke down again. So a couple of weeks' time he comes back and then breaks down again. This is the problem you've got now. For me, I'm going in big in now, like, you know what I mean? Like, listen, Ben Stokes been playing for the whole Ashes tour, sort of, you know, like with a bad knee, not bowled or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Now he's got the best physios, the best everything in the world, like, but they still can't get it right. Because why? Because the knee, it can be dodgy, Dan, you know what I mean? I can't emphasise this enough. Couple of weeks, well, you know, we'll see how long it is, right? I'm putting money down now that it's more than a couple of weeks. More than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's facts what you're saying. Let's talk about Eddie and Nketiah yesterday, because if there's ever a game to sum up Eddie, it's that one for me. Let me talk about the captain's armband situation, which has put people in a little bit of confusion. I saw Declan Rice start, Thomas Partey start, Aaron Ramsdale start, Saliba start. Eddie wore the armband. What the hell's going on there, Lee?
I don't understand this now. People have, you know, again, been mentioning it today. I think it's a big boost for him. I think it's funny, like, because Julian, I was sitting with Julian yesterday, and he said one thing. He said when you see captain, he was captain. He actually, his first thought was, might be his last game, so that's why they give him the captaincy. Like, you know, that's what he's think. Didn't know about the Jesus injury at that time, right? But I think now it's a confidence booster to say, look, you know, look, you're going to be the main man for the next few weeks or months, right? So I'm giving you the captaincy again. You know what I mean?
Not.
Like, not permanently. You know what I mean? Because Odegaard would have come in and get it, like, you know. But Smith Rowe's been there all the time as well. Why Eddie getting the captaincy? Like, do you know what I mean? Listen, I like Eddie's attitude. I like the way he works hard and everything like that. And at the end of the day, we know he's done a great job for us over the time. And he gets a raw deal in it. But he's no Jesus. And that's unfortunate. That's the way it is, like, you know. And I'm going to stick up for him a little bit here, like yesterday. You know, I don't go too much on his performance yesterday because we didn't have Saka playing on the right hand side. It makes it a little bit better. I don't really know what's going to go down on the left side. For me, the best player in pre-season so far is Trossard. He's not likely to get in the side at this moment in time because I thought Martinelli showed why he should be playing the next game there. So if you're going to fit him, if you're going to try and fit Trossard in now, it's a perfect opportunity to say, right, you play the false nine. And I think that he played that job better than Eddie because we look a little bit more free-flowing with the way that Trossard would play it. You know, we don't look free-flowing with Eddie up there. There's nothing against him. Like, people keep going about Eddie, and he scored the goal yesterday, like, you know, and he did take his goal well, by the way. It was not an easy chance. And he done some good things. A turn in I think it was the first half. He had a turn and beat a couple of players and then didn't get the shot off. But like, there is some good things that he does, but he's just not quite at that level of the other three, and that's why he's a sub more than everything, like, you know. Now the thing is, and I asked this question to you, Dan, you know what I mean, if Eddie goes into France, does he score 20, 25 goals? You know, Balogun's proven that he can do that.
Balogun and Lacazette do. It's a good question. I do feel, funny enough, I do think that Eddie will give you goals, but I don't think there's anything else he does. And I know that sounds weird because surely that's your job as a striker. But you need nowadays in modern football to do more than that. Unless you're going to score 30 like Haaland does. Do you know what I mean? I look at his performance yesterday, and I look around the fan base, and I listen to what people are saying, and I think, bloody hell, it was 1-1. Oh, Eddie had a shocker. Who scored? Eddie scored. Surely that's wrong. What's going on there? Do you know what I'm saying? That epitomises him. He has a poor game, and then he gets on the score sheet. Everyone slates him, and then afterwards goes, he ain't good enough, but he's the one who scored. I just don't think anybody has any faith or confidence in Eddie Nketiah across a long period of time. That's all it is. He might come in and do a job for a couple of games, but like we saw, we were like, actually, Eddie's done all right here. He scored against Brighton. He scored against West Ham while Jesus has been out. Oh, he ain't scored in that game, or in that one, or in that one. Hurry up, Jesus. When you coming back? When you coming by? It's another game. God, he ain't scored. That's what happens when you've got Eddie up top for a long period of time. He'll do a couple of good goals, and then he won't score again for 5 games. And then he'll get another one, and he won't score again for a few games. That's what was happening. That's why Jesus comes straight back. And that's why Trossard was also getting ahead of Eddie in the end, because he was actually delivering more. And I think he was providing a lot more. And, you know, sometimes we say Jesus doesn't score, but look at what else he's doing to get Martinelli and Saka into the game. If Eddie ain't scoring, he ain't doing nothing but running around.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem we got.
That's the problem. Yeah, I agree with you. 100% agree. That's the problem. If he doesn't score, he doesn't contribute, where the others do if they don't, you know. And it also, Dan, puts a lot of pressure on the other players now to come up trumps, like, you know. Listen, he didn't have, in his defence, and we'll go on his defence yesterday, he didn't have Saka providing from the left, and he didn't have Odegaard providing from behind. So we'll have to see. But he's had them in the past. I think this is massive for Arteta now. Like, you know, he can't afford to have a bad start on this year. Like, you know, I think we need to start well. I'm not convinced that we're going to. It's not being me negative and all that. I'm just what I'm seeing at the moment. I'm not encouraged with what I'm seeing at the moment. That doesn't mean to say come Sunday we turn up with probably the main 11 and turn over Man City. My thoughts will change. You know what I mean? But they need to be getting it sorted now. I don't really want to see no mix and matching now. I want to see the proper 11 come out. Like, I was a little bit disappointed that the main 11 weren't playing yesterday, but I understand why. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we've got to look at a squad now, like, you know, you know, for me, like, you know, yesterday Gabriel didn't play, was rested. Nketiah come in. I thought he'd done really well. So there's strength in depth around the team now. By the way, Jorginho come on and done well again yesterday. Like, you know, I think that he done well. Partey looks like class. So for me, I want to see Partey, Odegaard, and Rice start, and that's the three I want to see. And I want to see it regular now. And I want to see it Sunday. Then I want to see it going into the Nottingham Forest game and in for the next few games. And like the likes of Smith Rowe, the likes of Havertz, Vieira, and all that are just going to have to wait their time. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't be just giving these boys games. Well, you're going to have to maybe the Champions League, so they're going to have to step up as well. Like, so it's going to be really interesting how he manages his squad this season. I really do, because as you say, it's not a team. You know, I think he had 13, 14 players to his squad last season. I think he's got 20 now, and it's a little bit more difficult, like, you know. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But you know, the Jesus one is a massive blow. I think really like a massive blow.
100% it is. Listen, guys, do us a favor. Make sure that you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're trying to hit as close as we can to 40k before the season starts. So please help us towards that. We've got a few questions that we're going to go through in a minute. So make sure that you put in your questions and your super chats. Make sure you put a capital Q so I know it's a question, so that we can star it and it can be read out. While you are doing that and getting your questions in towards the end of the show, I want to ask you about a few players from yesterday, Lee, that stood out for the right and wrong reasons. Declan Rice in the 8th position. I really liked it. I really liked the way he was driving forwards. I really liked the way that him and Partey were complementing each other in parts, particularly in that first half. I think that is clear, and I'm I hope that this is right, and it fills me with more confidence that I think he's going to be playing in that 8, Partey in the 6, and Odegaard in the 10 at the weekend. And I think that midfield, like you mentioned previously, I think it's going to work, Lee. I know Rice has played it for England as a 6 and West Ham as a 6, but I've spoken to a lot of West Ham fans, and I know you spoke to West Ham Paul, and he said put him in at 8 and watch him go. And I think he will, man.
I'm with you on that. I I like what I see yesterday. I wasn't blown away. I've not been blown away with Declan Rice at this moment in time. I'm going to be really honest.
That's fair, though. That's fair.
He's not. I've not gone. Wow, he's worth 105. Oh, I'm glad we got him and all that. He's done okay. I thought the game in against the All Stars, I like what he's done. He's just kept it simple and all that. He's not quite fit enough, and I don't think he's at his peak at this moment in time. So, I'd say another maybe 80 minutes on on Sunday, and then be ready for the Forest game, But I did like what I see. I did like the combination play between me and Martinelli. They got through on a few times. Lovely little run. Just got we could have scored on his debut, which would have been fantastic, or Emirates debut, should I say? I like what I see. I do like he's neat and tidy, very very good on the ball, and you can see he's a player. And I think Thomas Partey is really good there, but I still think there were things breaking down on them because there weren't no Saka there. Odegaard weren't playing, so and listen, I think that Declan Rice is a player that isn't going to be spectacular, Dan. And I don't mean that nastily. That's not his job. He's box to box. Would you turn around and say that Xhaka was spectacular? You wouldn't have said he was spectacular, but he got the job done. I just think that's exactly what Declan Rice would do, but just do it a little bit better and all that than Xhaka. That's my only thing,
Yeah, fair. And I think the actual GA that Xhaka got last season was close to 15. So to be fair, it's actually something that he's got to try and look up to if he's going to be more in that advanced role. I thought he was great, and I'm really excited to see him.
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, 100%. The other two I wanted to mention before we take some questions were Fabio Vieira and Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, for me, Emil Smith-Rowe's looked sharp, mate. He looks so much better already. Really excited to see him. He's been playing in that attacking 8 role as well, and I thought he was really spraying the ball around nicely.
Yeah.
He was getting back to his usual turning on the ball, and he was looking to be driving forward again. I was a big, big fan. However, Fabio Vieira, brilliant game, I kept hearing. One of his best games. He's had an Arsenal shirt. I don't want to be too harsh on the lad, but every time I see him, he's on the floor. He's so weak, it is unbelievable. And he's crying and flying his arms up and moaning at the ref and the linesman. And I think I'm getting a bit annoyed with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, either get in the gym or leave the club because you are not strong enough, son. I'm sorry. You are not. You've got to be strongly in this division. Otherwise, you ain't going to last. And I do sometimes think that people say it's really harsh. He's young. He's 21. He was £38 million. And I know a lot of 21-year-olds that are better than him. So this ain't, sometimes you've got to be ruthless. And I just feel like if that's one of his better games, he ain't going to make it at the club. So what are your thoughts on those two players?
No, listen, I'm with you on it. I liked it. I like what he done yesterday, neat and tidy. This is what a lot of people say, you know what I mean? Like people go, Rice was neat and tidy. So was he neat and tidy, but he didn't produce nothing. I think you got to produce something when you're out wide. And what I say was some great touches, bringing the ball inside was fantastic. But when he went to go one-on-one with defenders, he got out-muscled every time, Dan. You know what I mean? You look at Saka, he goes past players. We didn't have that with him. He didn't go past fullbacks very often, if he did at all on the game, So as well as he done with neat and touches and all that, and I'm going to be really honest, there's certain players in this team at the moment, Declan Rice being one of them, that if they do okay, it's acceptable, right? If Saka plays in pre-season and does okay, no one's going to be cribbing about it. Same as Jesus, same as the guys at the back. Saliba hasn't been great, but people will accept it. Players like Eddie, players like Vieira, once they get their chance, they've got to make use of it. Okay is not good enough for Saka. And do you know what? That's what it's like for a lot of players and a lot of teams. It's not just Arsenal; it's every team. So there's certain players that need to produce, and Vieira needs to produce every game because he hasn't produced in the whole last season. So every time he gets an opportunity, he's got to produce and be more than okay. I thought he did okay yesterday, but how I look at it and go, right, okay, he done okay there, but could Nelson do better or worse? I don't know, but that's how you're looking at it in the moment. Like, you know, he's not blowing away opposition, and he's not blowing away the fans, and that's the problem that he's got. That is the problem he's got. Yes, he was okay yesterday, and you know, without people wanting to slag him off or whatever, he was okay yesterday, but not spectacular and not what you need from. I want to see more from him, if I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Absolutely. Big up Simon Paul in the chat. He has become a new member of the channel. Thank you for that, Simon. Top man. If you would like to do that, then make sure you click the join button and you can become a member. Okay, Dave, let's get some of these questions and super chats together, I think, to wrap up the show for the last 15, 20 minutes. This one comes in from Stapes, who says, gents, do you feel we should go all out for Harry Kane or Osimhen and put Balogun in the deal as well? I think we mentioned this earlier in terms of a centre forward. They're my first two options. I can't even lie to you. Osimhen is an absolute beast, and Harry Kane we know all about. I just think they're unrealistic, and I think it would be nice to show the ambition to go for that. But at the same time, you don't know that the club have had already talks about that, and the club have just said it ain't going to happen. You can put in 400 million, and it ain't going to happen. So just give up and move on to a different target. Osimhen signing a new deal at Napoli. He's going to be about 180 million. We see 120 going for Saudi Arabia, which ain't going to get accepted. And Harry Kane, I think if we wanted him, we could probably get him for about 120 million. But Daniel Levy, is he going to accept that, or is he going to actually rather say, do you know what? You go to Bayern for 100, I don't care. Probably going to get the latter, to be honest with you. Balogun, I'll tell you what I would do. If Balogun isn't going to want to stay at Arsenal and he's going to have to kind of be kept here because just in case, I would throw him into Brentford for the deal for Ivan Toney. I would throw him in the deal for that and say, would you take Balogun? And if you want more money, give more money because Ivan Toney's going to be a lot of money, isn't he? So that's what I would do if it was a deal.
Ivan Toney in January, that'd be good.
Let's see. Chaitanya, Lee and Dan, are you concerned with the defence? We're still letting easy goals in. We obviously need a forward, but I'm very confident in Trossard as a centre forward. Listen, I like Trossard as a centre forward as well. I think I said that at the top of the show, but it ain't quite enough for me. In terms of the defence, we also mentioned at the top of the show, Chaitanya, I'm with you, man. I think defensively as a unit, we're conceding too many goals. And it is normally at the Emirates, but it was in pre-season as well away from Wembley, you know, against Barcelona with silly goals, sloppy goals that we're conceding.
Yeah, I think we touched on this earlier. Maybe it's not the defence, it's the way we set up. It's something that we've got to look at doing, like maybe keeping the ball a little bit better so we don't get broken on. That could be something that we could be looking to do. And I think that maybe with the likes of Odegaard, Saka in that would relentless a little bit of that. That's all I can say on that, really. Like, I am concerned about that. So as for Trossard, you know, look, listen, he deserves to play Trossard. I think there's no two ways about that. And if it's as a centre forward in that centre forward role, then so be it.
Yeah, listen,
I think you've got to keep him in the side. Listen, if you're going to bring Eddie into the side, it means you're leaving out Martinelli or Trossard, and I don't think that Eddie's performances deserve for one of them to be left out.
Fair play. This one comes in from Babs. City and Erling Haaland are the standard, and Jesus and Eddie are nowhere near that. I do think sometimes when you lose out to your rival, which is now Man City for us, we need to look at what they have that we don't. And it is clear. It is clear as day that Gabriel Jesus, the player they got rid of, by the way, to give to us because they didn't think was good enough, is our number one. Haaland is levels above everybody. You're not going to go and get another Haaland out there, but you've got to try and get as close as you can to it. And Ivan Toney got 19 goals for Brentford. Yeah, not for Man United, for Brentford. So what could he do for a club like Arsenal? I think he'd be the perfect striker. I think he's an all-round striker, and I'd absolutely love him. But we'll see what happens with that one. This one comes in from Simon Paul. Give you this one, Lee. He says, I think we will chop and change the lineup to be unpredictable. Late in the season last year, all teams were attacking down Zinchenko's side. And I think we have got some options now, Lee, to be a little bit more versatile with some of the players that we've brought in.
Brilliant point. I do think that there is, you know what I mean? I think it'll be a really interesting call what he does on Sunday for the left back position. I think it's out of Timber and Tierney. I think that the right back will be Ben White, so I think it will be there. I think that he'll go with Timber, but it doesn't mean to say in the next game that he could go Tierney in there. I think with Timber coming into the team, Tierney's got more of a future now because like they can go invited on the right meaning that they can.
Yeah, and he's looked good, Tierney, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's looked good. So I think that could happen that little bit more. Like he's had a good pre-season, Tierney, by the way. Injury free, looking a bit stronger. So it's something that they can do. But for me, I think that Ben White just edges it a little bit at this moment in time. But it'd be really interesting to see. Like we haven't seen Zinchenko, by the way, in the whole pre-season. So there's another one that's not misses too many games for me, really. Like so this could benefit Tierney now, like more than what we think.
Yeah, fair play. This one comes in from Alex. He says, would you rather play Havertz up front over Eddie and Nketiah? I'll tell you how I'd answer that one. If Eddie and Nketiah are starting, because Trossard and Jesus aren't about, I would rather bring Havertz on for 65 minutes, on the 65-minute mark, and see what he does for the last half hour of the game, and then I'll make that decision. Because I've never seen Havertz up for Arsenal. So I can't say yes, because I ain't ever seen it happen. He might be brilliant. He might be shambolic like he was at Chelsea. He might provide something that Arteta thinks, oh, hang on a minute. I knew he had some talent, but wow, he's definitely a number 9. I have absolutely no idea. So for me, I'd have to see it before I start to make that decision. What about yourself, Lee?
I'm with you on that. Like, Eddie over Havertz up front. One of the reasons is because Eddie done it last season and he wasn't a disaster. It's not like, I keep going on about that. We didn't, it didn't let us down. And the games that we've got, Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham, teams like that, if Eddie's not banging in goals and we're not winning games and all that, like, I think we shouldn't be looking at Eddie's door.
Yeah. Fair play, man. Fair play. This one comes in from Chaitanya. Says, who replaces as a regular starter for Xhaka, Lee and Dan? I think we both agreed that would be Declan Rice, who plays in that position. Are you happy with that, Lee?
I'm hoping it'll be, yeah.
I think it will be. I don't think it'll be Havertz. I really don't. I think it will be Partey, Rice, and Ødegaard. In the press conference that Arteta said when asked that question, he said, when I signed Declan Rice, it was with the intention of playing with Thomas Partey. So that's good. Nando, big up yourself. He says, Potts, if we pay 30 or 35 million for Raya, then surely we must have money for a right winger or a striker. Kudus would be good, but he's more of an attacking midfielder. I would love to get Kudus, and I'm hearing that he's agreed personal terms with Arsenal. Now, that doesn't mean he's coming, because he's also having offers from Chelsea, Bayern Munich, and I think Man City was sniffing around him as well. So he would be a fantastic signing. He can play right wing, he can play up top, attacking mid, number 8, and he probably can play off the left as well if he can play off the right. I think this would be a fantastic signing, and I do believe that if we are going to be linked with a player in that position, I am being told that is one of our number 1 targets, Lee. So that could be the next outfield player that we could have coming in. This is a good one for you, Lee. PW says, what about Ollie Watkins? Thoughts on him? Do you think we could get him, and would you want him at Arsenal?
Somebody like that would be a good thing. You know what I mean? The trouble is getting Ollie Watkins out of Villa. I think Villa are going to be they're my surprise team for next season. I think that they've bought well in the summer. I think they've strengthened in all areas. If I'm a Villa fan, I'm quite looking forward to this season, if I'll be honest. So, but this is, I'm not saying he's not available, but it's going to cost a lot of money to get him out there. As much as I like Ollie Watkins, I think in a way he's a little bit too similar to Jesus. I want to go for a different profile striker. I don't know about you, how you feel about that, but I would like to go for a Mitrovic or something. That wouldn't be someone that I wouldn't mind Arsenal getting, just something different, going to give us different qualities going forward, which are different to Jesus. That's how I see it. Like Vlahovic or Harry Kane would be the same sort of ilk of a player. Ollie Watkins sort of goes down the same sort of lines as Eddie and Jesus for me. Like that's where I feel that that's the sort of striker I feel I want.
Yeah, in terms of a profile, I see what you mean. I don't think Ollie Watkins is going to be any less than 60 or 70 million, because Villa are going to be like, why the hell do we have to sell him? Like if you want him, you're going to have to pay a ridiculous fee. And I don't think he's worth that much. So no. I think he'd do well at Villa. I don't think he can take the step up to Arsenal, if I'm honest. Sakaya says, as we go to Wembley on Sunday, Lee, what are your best Arsenal memories from the old Wembley?
Oh, that's a good question. Bloody mixed that, I can tell you that. Good memories of the old Wembley. Let's think like gonna have to say the 87 League Cup final, Arsenal beating Liverpool, Charlie Nichols a couple of goals, beating Spurs 1-0, the revenge in '93 after the defeat in '91. The 98 Cup final against Newcastle, thought that was a comfortable cup final. But then I've had some very, very dark days at Wembley as well.
Let's
Luton
not remind us. Oh,
yeah,
Luton, yeah.
Luton was the first. Well, the first one was West Ham. You know what I mean? Back in
1980.
Yeah, in 1980, like to lose that one, but then the Luton one was a hard one to take, and of course the Spurs in 1991 was difficult as well. Like so been a bit mixed at the old Wembley. If I'll be really honest.
98 was obviously Newcastle.
Yeah, it was great because we won a double that year. So like
double, yeah, that was a good one.
So
93 and 98 were the two that I really remember first, really, when I was a youngster, and then obviously we moved to the new. We went to Millennium Stadium, was probably better for us than the old Wembley, and then obviously went back to the new Wembley now, and we've won a couple of bits there. But good question, that one. Good question.
Yeah, very good question there, because I like to say about what most Arsenal, we've got newer Arsenal fans in there. I don't think Wembley has been. It's been mixed for me. I've got to say that, mixed memories. Like even go back earlier. I remember Arsenal. I don't remember it, but what my dad tells me, like losing the League Cup final to Swindon. Bloody like I think they was in the second division then or something like, and we lost to them. And it was after the Lord Mayor show, so the pitch was a real joke. So we've had some, like losing to Ipswich in '78, but then the ecstasy of beating Man United in 1970. I didn't go to the 1979 ones.
79 and 71 will always be remembered, I think, as well.
Yeah, 71 was a great thing. Obviously, I don't remember that, even though I was alive, but don't remember it. But then like 87 was unbelievable. Like to beat Liverpool, and then the following year, like to lose to Luton, that was a difficult one to take. I'm just trying to think, and then I think like that was bad enough, and then to lose to Spurs. Do you know what? I'm going to say that now, thinking about it. The 88, and I should learn my lesson from these things. 88 and 91, I went to Wembley both times, convinced we were winning those games. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to win the cup for 2 years on the spin. Like, you know what I mean? I actually look back at 88. Well, I don't know how we lost that game. I don't know how we lost that game. And realistically, I know that Kevin at 2-1 hits the bar in that game. If he actually scores that goal, we go on to beat Spurs that day. Like, it was just one of those games.
Mental, isn't it? It's mental. It's fine margins, isn't it?
It's fine. It was just destiny that we weren't to win that. But that was our one. Well, and Dan, let me tell you this now. You remember, like, Tottenham fans brought out a record in the North London Cup. We was only runners up, you know what I mean? Like, they started giving to us, you know what I mean? You know what they're like, that lot down the road. 1991, the only time we've ever played at Wembley, 2 years. 1993, we had revenge on it, like, you know what I mean? Could go like 20, 30 years of that.
Yeah.
We were very, very fortunate to be given
we were.
2 years. And
I was a bit young for that Gaza free kick. Fortunately, so it doesn't stick in my mind. I can imagine it made people feel sick, but I can only imagine it because I would have been 3. So, or 4.
I remember I was I come home that day, sat on the toilet, not going to the toilet, just sat on the, like on the thing, crying my eyes out because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
One, from all the stick I was going to get, and you knew that, they were going to be in the final the next month as well. Do you know what I mean? And go through it, like, And
did you have hair back then, Lee?
I did have hair back then, like, as well, like, So I think I pulled most of it out that day, Dave. And I remember, like, that it was a horrendous time for Arsenal fans. Don't forget, 2 months later we won the league then. But they still had that over us, you know what I mean? Like, so
it's crazy, actually. You think of it,
crazy.
You would never know it.
Crazy.
That kind of makes you forget all about the history-wise, at the time, I bet people were absolutely devastated, man. I can only imagine what it was
Oh,
like.
it was
Must have
awful.
been horrendous. Listen, we
Yeah.
got another couple of these questions
Right.
that we've got to do. One of them super chat, and then this one. Oh no, from Sam. Here we go. I'll be keeping an eye out for Arteta's in-game management on Sunday, as it was very poor towards the end of last season. I'll be looking out for Arteta's in-game management this season. I think it's the biggest challenge he's got, Lee, because for me,
Yeah.
when you've got a big squad and you've got to rotate and keep people happy, we saw him rotating last season and everyone said it was poor, but actually he had an excuse that the Rob Holdings and the Fabio Vieiras and the Nketiahs weren't good enough. Now, if we're still seeing Vieiras and Nketiahs, there's something that's gone wrong for me. So I think his rotation needs to be absolutely like spot on.
100%.
So it's going to be
100%.
tough for him, man. Pressure.
Listen, with expectation comes pressure. He's put that on himself, like, you know. And if Arsenal are to foul, you know what I mean, like the pressure's on him. You know what I mean. There's no two ways about that, Dan. Like, you know, this is the next part of the process where you're not actually playing with a little small squad now. You're playing with a bigger squad and better players. This is a challenge. This is a challenge for him. And it's a challenge for us fans, because us fans have got to expect better now. We've got to expect more than, like the certain fans out there. Oh well, top four is a good finish, you know, and everything like that. It ain't no more. Top, second is, you've got yourself to second. The bar's gone up, ladies and gentlemen. It has gone up, and
About time too.
Yeah, and that's credit to Mikel and the team. But with that bar going up, brings up pressure. You know, it's the same thing. There's pressure now, really on it.
Lee and Dan, this is the last one of the night from Jay. Big up Jay, by the way. Says, Lee and Dan, you're starting 11 versus Man City. I'll give you my starting 11 and I'll give you what I think Arteta will pick. There we go.
That's good. Yeah, go with what you do and what you think he's going to pick at the end of it.
What I think he's going to pick. This is what I would do. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tierney, Partey, Rice, Erdegaard, Martinelli, Trossard, Saka. What I think he will do, Arteta, is exactly what I've picked, but he'll put Timber at left back instead of Tierney. That's what I think he will do. What about yourself, Lee?
I'm going to go Ramsdale, obviously, in goal. I'm going Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. In the midfield, Odegaard, Rice, Partey, Pro, that's being called now. Have you seen that Pro midfield? Like, I like that.
Pro midfield.
Very good. Whoever thought of that, like, you know what I mean?
Like it, man.
I like that. So the Pro midfield, Saka, Trossard, and Martinelli. I think that he'll do exactly the same, but instead of Trossard, it'll be Eddie on there, and I've got a feeling that he'll play Trossard left instead of Martinelli.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Eddie will start? Wow.
I do. I'm going to be really honest. You know what I mean? I think that he will. Yeah. I think that.
That's harsh on Trossard and Martinelli if he plays Eddie and Nketiah ahead.
Yeah. Well, why did he play? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. You know what I mean? Like, very, very. You know, I don't know. I've said what my three would be. Same as what you've done. I think it should be Trossard, Martinelli, and I think it's more.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we think he'll do as opposed to what we want. Yeah, absolutely, mate.
That's what I would do. You know, but I would not be surprised if I see Eddie starting that game on
Sunday.
On Sunday, in my opinion, before anybody goes mad at me, like, I am saying Trossard, like, you know what I mean. Like, we're saying what I think he'll do, like, you know what I mean. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you what, if he plays Eddie better bloody score for Arteta's sake. I'll tell you that now. He better not have a shocker, because the fans will be straight on Mikel. What are you doing? Straight away, game one. But there we go. Listen, we're going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Do us a favor, please leave a like on this. Really, really important for myself and Lee that we get a like on this video, and also subscribe to the channel. We're pushing towards 40k. We want to try and get there as quickly as possible. If you do fancy coming over to my channel, I've got a show later on with Tobes, Lawless, LB, and Errol talking about all things transfers with them. And Lawless is going to get a bit of stick because West Ham.
How is Lawless getting on like the old boy? How is he? Like, send him my regards tonight, won't
He's
you?
gone
like,
a bit quiet, bro, since the Declan Rice.
Just say I'm a little bit worried about him. Like, you know what I mean? No signings. Poor old Lawless, you know what I mean? So just give him my best, and you know what I mean. I'm rooting for him.
He's coming on my show tonight for some therapy, I think. So that's what's needed for him. Bless him. He ain't going to get much love from Tobes. He's on there with me as myself and Errol and all them.
We're going to get none off Tobes, none at all.
None at all, mate. But if you do fancy having a laugh tonight at West Ham, then come over to my channel. Football's 12th Man podcast at 7 p.m. We've got a show there tonight, so that will be good fun. But make sure you like and subscribe on this one. Lee, been a pleasure, mate. It's gone very quick again, hasn't it?
Another hour gone like that, like, you know what I mean? Absolute pleasure. Thanks for everybody watching and obviously in the chat as well. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Come on, guys, get us to 40.
Absolutely, people. Make sure you do that on your way out. Take it easy. See you next time. And of course, up the Arsenal. Latest, peeps.